Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let
Thrive. What's up, Myka, man?
Chillin', man. What you been up to?
Oh, too much to go into right now, and we got this is episode 95, dude. We're serious. This is some serious territory right here.
95, man. We almost to 100.
Yeah, we've changed over 100 lives, I think.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about for the better, but we've changed them somehow.
Definitely have. But yeah, we have a special guest on today. We have Mr. Dang, did I forget?
Martin
Potter.
Potter, yeah.
How's it going?
Can we call you M-Pot?
Yeah, if you want. Just call me whatever you want. Just pay me.
I like your mentality.
You just got to pay me.
So yeah, we have and Martin, we're talking off air, and you're an arbitrage specialist.
I'm not a specialist, but I am a specialist.
The arbitrage specialist. Let's hop right into it. How many arbitrages you got?
Just 2 right now for short-term rental.
Okay.
I actually had 4. I had 4 not too long ago, and I dropped down to 2.
Okay.
Depending on how long this thing goes, I might get into why I dropped from 4 to 2. It was definitely for the better.
Why did you go from 4 to 2?
Okay, well, I guess I brought that on myself, didn't I? So I like to target 2-unit duplexes for my short-term rental business. And I had a duplex that was in a suburb of Denver that it was doing pretty well. And we had 1 month where several things happened to the house all at once. The electrical box got screwed up, and when like 90% of the power in the house was down for like a week. And, running a short-term Airbnb type business, that hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts a lot. And so, I had 2 or 3 guests that it affected. I was out of the country at the time on vacation. I had a business partner of mine just sort of looking over things, making sure it was working. He was maintaining it for me, and because I manage my listings, and he did an okay job, but I mean there was no way around it. It affected reviews and kind of spiraled everything, and got some pretty bad reviews from it. And then when I got back, I tried to revive it, and it was sort of heading down. And we had 1 month where it wasn't good. It didn't profit like it was supposed to. And the following month we had, this is crazy, just when it rained its course, I guess. The following month, I had some guests that came in, and there was actually a shooting at my Airbnb in one of the units.
Oh, snap.
So nobody got killed, but somebody did get injured. I believe they got shot because there was some blood all over the floor. And like in the main living room, luckily it's a wood floor. It wasn't carpet, but my cleaning lady was able to clean it all up. There wasn't any permanent damage, but it was pretty crazy. I got a call in the morning a couple days after I got back from vacation, and it was a police officer, and he was like, yeah, are you the host of this Airbnb, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, what's going on? And he kind of gave me the lowdown and was like, the people that are staying here, there was like a home invasion issue and all this stuff. And I'm like, seriously? And he's like, yeah. And, I'll give you the details later. And so I figured, okay. And one of the things that I just forgot was, I guess the guy, like one of the guys staying there, he injured his foot, and that's why there was blood on the floor. This was in the morning. And so he said, yeah, there's quite a bit of blood, but it doesn't look like there's any major damage. This was the cop telling me. And I was like, okay, cool. Like these guys check out later this afternoon. So I'll go over there when they check out and like figure out, see what's going on with it. Didn't really think anything of it. And then I get over there later in the afternoon after they had checked out. And I had no idea that there had been something else that had happened between the time that I spoke to the officer and the time that I actually showed up. A second incident happened. Whoever showed up before and was messing with these guys or whatever came back, and that's when there was a shooting. And a gun went off, and there was a bullet hole in the floor. And I actually didn't see all this until way later, because when I showed up to the property, they had the whole corner of the block. The house is on a corner. They had the whole corner of the block taped off. They didn't let me anywhere near it, and they had a huge cop standing in the doorway, in the open doorway, because it was a crime scene. It was a crime investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And I found all this stuff out, like, just in pieces. I had to talk to the detective that was assigned to the case. Like, it was just ridiculous. And I was like, man, what's going on? Like, this is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, long story short, I spoke to the owner that I'm doing an arbitrage with, and we decided to just turn it back into long-term rentals. It kind of freaked the owner out a little bit, what had happened. And so I was like, okay, yeah, no worries, because this one's, because of this last month, it was kind of going down anyways and not making me the money that I wanted it to make me. So I figured it was probably better for everyone to just drop it and, focus on the other ones that were actually doing well.
That's a hardcore version of the 80-20 rule right there, man.
You can't win them all,
For real.
Yeah, that's probably the craziest story I have.
I guess that's the beauty of the whole arbitrage model. If something like that happens, you could always just say peace out and stop doing that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And actually, this is kind of cool. I don't know what you know about the different ways that you can arbitrage, but most people think of the arbitrage model as sandwich leasing, right? So you're leasing from the owner, and then you're not really subletting because you don't have a lease, but you're essentially running an Airbnb business out of a leased property. So after that happened, I really didn't like the fact that I lost money that month, because I had to take about 2 months of previous profit to make up for the fact that I lost money. You're on the hook.
Yeah.
You got to make that rent payment every month. And so I thought about it from an outside perspective, and I'm like, I just lost 3 months. Like, I didn't technically make any money for 3 months because I had to take the previous 2 to make up for this most recent one. That did not sit well with me. And so I thought of a way that I could avoid that. And so what I did was I came back to the owner, and this was only for a month because we shut it down, that next month. But then I applied it to my current ones as well. And I did away with the whole sandwich leasing thing because I didn't want to ever be on the hook. And so what I did was I created a partnership agreement with the owners, with the seller, well, not the seller, the owner of the property from now moving forward, that we essentially do the same thing. So let's say, you owe the seller $2,000, the owner, sorry, I do real estate investing as well. You owe the owner $2,000 a month. And instead of doing that, I said, okay, we're going to run this as a partnership. The minimum amount is $2,000. So all the money that the Airbnb business makes up to $2,000 goes to you as the owner. If it makes less, just whatever it makes goes to you. Now, the incentive for you is everything beyond that, the profit, we'll call it, you and I will split 50-50. And I'm going to run it. I'll still continue to do everything, so you don't have to do anything. I'm hosting it. I'm managing it. I'm it's all my resources, my cleaning stuff. I'm talking to the people. Like, I'm doing all the work. And in return, everything beyond $2,000, you and I split 50%. So I gave up some of my profit, but I also removed all of my liability. So now I either make money or I don't, but I never lose money.
Nice.
And
I like the way you did that.
And since then, I've never lost money on a month anyways. It's never been negative, so I think that was sort of a one-off. But I also, I think I made the scalability a lot better because, how many of those can you do when you don't have any liability?
Yeah.
That's cool. We had guests before that did something like that. They're co-hosts. So that kind of sounds a little bit like the co-host model because they don't like signing. They started off like you signing the big long leases, and they're like, and they don't want to do that no more because an HOA would shut them down. They'd be out of a whole year. Yep. And so that's what they shifted to co-hosting, which is it's like insurance on doing Airbnb.
Right. So is that the same thing they're doing then?
Yeah, they co-host they help people run their Airbnbs. Well, actually, they pretty much run it for them as a co-host, and they take 20%.
Okay, so
of whatever it makes. Yeah.
Oh, 20 of whatever it makes.
Well, because you take 50 of the profit. They
Yeah,
take straight 20 out of everything that it makes. That's
Okay.
similar.
I like the
Yeah.
way you do it because your liability is it may cut into your profit, but your liability is less. Like
Yeah, my liability is nothing.
So what about furnishing it? Are they furnishing or are you furnishing it?
So that's really always negotiable. The original 2 that I shut down because of the shooting, I furnished, but the new ones that I just right off the bat, we did the partnership or the co-host style. I actually was able to negotiate splitting the costs of the furnishing. So we have a running account that I just keep accounting. It's really easy if you just keep, every time you buy something, you make a note of it. So we keep accounting, and then we meet up once a month to figure out, how much we actually made, and then how much each of us gets for the 50-50 split. And then anything that is like for the business, I call it consumables, like toilet paper, paper towels, soap, stuff like that, coffee filter, whatever. All that stuff is paid for out of the operating account. So the money that the Airbnb generates. So we just deduct that, from each of our, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Each of your cuts.
Yeah, so,
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty cool. So I just use the profit to pay for that stuff, so I never have to come out of pocket. So I actually did initially come out of pocket, I think $500 or $600 to get this thing up and going. That's the other thing is I don't know about a lot of other people that do this, but I have some business partners that do this too. But they do luxury rentals, which is cool, and you can make a lot more money doing it. But they also they spend $20,000 to furnish the place. Because they're buying all new stuff, new everything, and they partner with private individuals, private capital investors as well, so that they don't have to come out of pocket to front that $20,000. And then the private investors are getting a lot better returns than you could normally get with a lot of other things. They're getting I don't remember now. They're getting 40% returns on their money, but they're also not getting paid for 2.5 years. They get paid, but they're not getting their full return. Doesn't come back for over 2 years in this model.
Yeah, because I was going to wonder how long is the lease?
Yeah, I don't have a lease.
No. You said if you said they partner with investors, they don't have a lease. How does that work?
Oh, so you just set up a joint venture agreement, or you can do any type of equity partnership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You could do a JV, a business venture, a joint venture.
And there's no lease. They just go on
Yeah.
and on with this. Okay.
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay.
Yep, you could do that, or it really just depends on how you structure it. If you're doing sandwich leasing and you're leasing the owner, so okay, I'm the guy running it, and then I meet somebody and let's say I do it the way I'm doing it now, but I want to do luxury stuff, so I need $10,000 or $20,000 to furnish this house that I just negotiated. And the owner's not going to split it with me, and I need $20,000. I would go to one of my private investors that a relationship that I've cultivated at some point, and I would say, hey, let's do this joint venture. We're going to go into this business together. I'm going to run everything, but we're going to use your capital to buy everything, and I'm going to give you a 20% return on your money. So every time I make my 50% split with this owner, a portion of it's going to go to you every month.
Man. I like that.
You could do that. I've done that a couple times. Not with $20,000 because I'm that's what I was gonna say. I don't do luxury stuff because I want to see profit a lot sooner than that. And so if I'm gonna front the money myself and not use private individuals, I'll just get thrifty. I just do middle of the road, average Joe Airbnbs. So functional is more important than the way it looks.
So you said you're doing this in a suburb of Denver. Now I've heard Denver and the Denver area is a little strict on the Airbnbs. What are you doing to get around all that?
Well, that's the thing. That's why I do it in a suburb, because Denver proper is the one that's strict on Airbnbs. I don't have any Airbnbs in Denver. The 2 I shut down are in a western suburb called Lakewood.
Okay.
And then the 2 I still have are in Centennial. It's a suburb just south of Denver.
Okay,
they're all
nice.
within 20 minutes of downtown Denver. 25
minutes. And there's no strict regulation in those areas.
Nope. Denver's the only one that has that ridiculous regulation where you got to get a business license and it has to be your primary residence and all that stuff.
Wow.
So if you just stay out of Denver, or just have one in Denver that's your primary, and if you want this business to be scalable, then you just go elsewhere.
I guess like we see it over here as like, let's say for example, a major city here is Fort Worth. Fort Worth banned Airbnb a while back. A lot of people still do it, but yeah, you could go, and it was safe. Okay, as long as we're out in the suburbs, Arlington, Hearst, Bedford, Euless, Grapevine, whatever, we're cool because we're little bitty, we're little bitty cities. But then they just started falling like dominoes. Arlington, Grapevine, Abandoned, South Lake. All the higher, the richer places, then like the more touristy Arlington, and then they just started falling like dominoes all of a sudden. Do you fear that happening, and what do you put in place to? You know what? You probably don't have to worry about it too much because you're not even on the lease or nothing.
Exactly. See, exactly. There's so many benefits to this, structuring your setup this way. It's just, if something like that happened, something catastrophic happened, and they were just like, no more Airbnbs, and they all got shut down. Or let's say Airbnb it was a fad, and it just stopped, or they got sued for a $200 million. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways. There's nothing set in stone. If it went down tomorrow, I'd be fine.
Nice.
I would just continue doing other real estate investing strategies.
How
It's
old
not a
are
big
you?
deal to me.
How old are you, Martin?
I'm 29.
29. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, you
sir.
seem really young. Myka just hopped out of the 20 club the other day. He's 30.
Oh,
now.
nice.
Hopped on
Congrats,
that
brother.
30 train.
Yeah.
So you said, hold on, the laws wouldn't really affect you. So like, are you doing it out of apartment complexes, or this is someone owns the property?
Yes, it's a single family owner. So it's technically a duplex, but yeah, it's just a private individual. Yeah, so I like to target. I mean, you could figure it out with apartments. I just feel like there's more logistics with apartments. So I just target just single family homes, or obviously multifamily homes, but I just target homes. Man,
I'm on the same route as you, man. I had all this furniture sitting in the storage from like these 1-bedroom units, and I was like, man, I think I'm going to arbitrage a house.
Nice.
I think I might do it, So
Yeah.
that is a smarter thing. If you go straight to a landlord, not that I've been doing it a while, it is a little bit easier.
Yeah, and if you know what to say and how to incentivize them to let you do this Airbnb situation, I mean, it's pretty easy to get another one. I'm honestly, I probably would have a lot more running right now if that was my focus. But I also do, some other things. So
what are your other hustles?
Well, it's all real estate related. Here's what's interesting about Airbnbs, at least doing it at this level. It's not technically real estate. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's software.
Well, actually, it's the hospitality industry.
Correct.
So we're not using real estate strategies to maintain it anymore. It's not even related to or similar to a long-term rental. It's hospitality now. Long-term rentals, you just get somebody in there and they pay you rent every month. And if something's broken, they still pay your rent. You just fix it when you get around to fixing it, right? With short-term rentals, it's completely hospitality. It's like running a hotel. It's all based on feedback. It's all based on customer experience. It's completely different. And I wish I had thought about that more when I got into this.
Man,
I mean, it still pays well. Don't get me wrong, but I like stuff that I don't have to deal with people constantly. Customer, retail, all that kind of. I don't like that necessarily if I had to choose. But it pays so well, I just can't not do it.
So you led me right into my next question.
Okay, nice.
What systems do you have in place to automate your business?
Nice. That's a good question. So that's the other thing. Because I don't want to be in a hospitality industry, I do as much as I can to automate my business. So literally the only thing that I do is, and I could give up a little bit of my profit to leverage this out as well, but I don't, is communicate with inquiries and communicate with guests just on some basic things. But everything else, I mean, I go to my properties probably once a month. I don't have to do much. I have everything set up. I have a cleaning lady who I've sort of turned into almost management. You know, she does laundry too. Like, it's all about what you can negotiate. You know, and before I got into this, I spent $20,000 on an investing program, and it's more of a financial literacy program. So they teach you all kinds of cool stuff. So I've been learning before I got into Airbnb. I feel like I was kind of like bred, you know, I was made for this. Like all my foundations was, you know, raising private capital and leveraging and negotiating and, you know, building communication, you know, building networks and cultivating relationships with people and just understanding how to move with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It sounds like I was actually I was with a meeting this weekend with you guys might have heard of Airbnb Automated on YouTube.
Yeah. Yep.
Sean Rakitic, and I hope I said his name right. But I was talking to him, and that's what he pretty much said. He owned a media company, and he used a media company inside of Airbnb, and it grew. You know, I like how you used your $20,000, you invested it in something else, and then you use that in your Airbnb business.
Yep.
Definitely.
I mean, it's so crazy when, you know, thinking about that just think about that. Somebody comes to you and says, hey, I have this financial literacy program, or you find it in some way, and it's supposed to teach you how to make $1 million, essentially. I mean, you can't really put a number on it, but let's just say it's worth $1 million and they say it's 20 grand. The way that we're programmed, the way that we grow up, spending money, especially that kind of money, on something outside of traditional school, most people are like, no, you know, or they're like really skeptical. It's because it's a scam, it's BS, like whatever, which is what I was originally. That's how I saw it. I looked at it. But after I got involved long enough and exposed to it, I realized that it was like, it really was going to teach me what I needed to know. You know, and I've made my money back times 10 already from it. So it's been well worth it. But it's just interesting the way that we look at things. And I really think it's because of the way we're programmed, the way we grow up, the way we're taught sort of how to look at things. You know, we're taught to go to college so that we can get a job to work for someone else. Like it's all so that you can continue to, you know, work for the man and continue the
rat
system.
Race.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just running the rat race. But there's some of us that are outliers that refuse to follow that. And it's definitely me. I mean, I haven't had a real job in 5 years.
Man.
So you've been doing this for 5 years?
I haven't been doing Airbnb for 5 years, but I've been a real estate investor full time for 5 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I started doing fix and flips and some rental, a couple buy and holds, wholesaling a little bit, and then Airbnbs this last like year and a half.
Okay.
So you got a couple buy and holds?
I do, yeah.
And where are those at?
Those are in Colorado Springs, so they're like an hour from my house.
And you haven't thought of putting them on Airbnb?
No, because then I'd have to do some work. I haven't been to that property in probably 2 years. I have a property manager. Again, I have it all automated. I have that one even more automated than my Airbnbs. That's nice. The one good thing about long-term rentals, buy and hold stuff, is you can have that thing completely automated so that money just hits your bank account every month and you don't have to do anything for it.
Yeah.
That's how you scale. That's how you scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to get your Airbnb business to do the same.
Yeah, right. That's the thing is like I could pay somebody to manage it. I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, I only have 2. Maybe if I have like 10, minimum 10, maybe then it might be worth volume-wise to like pay somebody to manage it for me. But I don't want to give up that much profit. Then I might as well, you know, just continue doing long-term rentals you know what I mean? Because a lot of the Airbnb managers out there, they don't charge the same as if you pay like a property manager to manage your long-term rentals.
So how many, I know you have 2 Airbnbs right now. Do you plan on getting more? And if so, how many?
Yeah. So that's kind of like, I'm open to having more, but I'm not actively pursuing them. So, you know, the $20,000 program that I told you I got involved with, it's a national organization. So there's a group, there's a group of people that all across the country, even in Hawaii, that are a part of it. And so a lot of people that get involved are newbies, which is fine because I was a newbie when I started. I mean, you got to start somewhere. And so a lot of people have a problem with finding the money. They don't know how to find the money. That's the biggest challenge for new people. So I always just tell them, like, once you get past that, it'll be easy. But until then, just find some deals. Just focus on finding some deals, and the money will show up. And if it's a good enough deal, I'll buy the deal from you. I'll buy the house from you, or I'll go into partnership with you, and I'll bring the money, so you don't have to worry about that part. And so people bring me deals like constantly, and so that's actually how my most recent, the ones that I still have, the Airbnbs I have, that's how those came around. I didn't actually go find those. They just came. They fell in my lap. There's a gentleman in my group, in my real estate investment group, who was like, "Hey, you do Airbnbs?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I had those 2 other ones. And he was like, "Hey, I want to turn my house into one, but I don't know how to do it. Do you want to partner on it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I just ran him through, the partnership situation that I told you about, and he was like, "Cool, let's do it," because he wanted to learn and understand how it works. And so it's a win-win. I'm all about making win-wins. It's got to be, good for everyone.
Being ready to pull the trigger. I like that.
Yeah, I'm ready to pull the trigger because I got access to capital.
There we go. So, another question I have for you, since you're in the Denver market, or I know you're not actively pursuing Airbnbs, but what would you consider a good market for Airbnb right now? Like a good market to invest in?
Like if you're going to buy the property yourself?
Yeah, buy or arbitrage for Airbnb.
Denver's great. I have like 95% occupancy.
Wow.
I have like 2 or 3 days out of the month every month. Last month. Yeah, I think last month we had 3 days vacant on the one unit, and I think maybe 4 on the other unit.
So are you doing all your pricing by yourself? Or is that
yeah, so that was another thing that had like a bit of a learning curve. I started with like smart pricing, and then that was crap, so I got rid of it, and then I started manually doing it. And there's some other like kind of cool websites that'll do some more complex and smarter pricing. No pun intended. There's one called Beyond Pricing that was pretty good. I was using them for a while. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of got to a point where I've established a strong enough, baseline with my listings. And so I took all that stuff, I got rid of all that stuff, and I just have a baseline now. And then I decrease it a little bit if I have like, a couple days open that week.
You know what I'll say, because Myka preaches from the mountaintops about Pricelabs, and it's
Pricelabs,
yeah. Have you tried it before?
I have, yeah.
Okay, yeah, they have a bunch of intricate stuff. I'm learning it. I'm just trying it out right now because I'm just setting up an Airbnb right now, and I'm trying to use it. It's 30 days free, and so excuse me. So what I was trying at first, I was like, and I hadn't done Airbnb since like early this past year, and I was still doing the Beyond pricing before that, and so because Hearst got shut down, I had an Airbnb there. So anyways, I'm setting one up now, and just in the last few months, it seems like smart pricing has gotten a lot better. And
has it?
They were asking me to raise my prices. I was like, damn, smart, and plus they have it where you can do that far out, different far out pricing, and you could you can do like set it up for longer minimum stays farther out. It has a lot of stuff that smart, maybe not as intricate as the Pricelabs, but they're getting there, man. And I think they just want to be a whole self-sufficient thing, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think what smart pricing is starting to do is look at how many people you offer. Like if you offer 8 people, right? It gives you a price based on that 8. Like, hey, you should charge $150, $250 a night. You know what I mean? So yeah, smart pricing has gotten a lot better. Like I'm looking at one of my calendars now, and it's told me to raise my price. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I remember the early days of smart pricing. Like you put a whole 3-bedroom, 2-bath house on there, and you put it out there, $100 a night, whatever, starting off. And they're saying, why don't you put it at 20? You're like, what the?
Yeah. I remember that.
I guess now,
I haven't messed with it since.
Okay, so you just do your own, like you said, baseline price.
I have like a baseline price, and then if I continue to maintain, in the 90% occupancy range after a month or 2 months or so, I let it ride. and then I'll kind of up the prices. I'll just kind of creep the prices up a little bit at a time. So I'll just raise the baseline price, by $5. If like, I think we just raised the prices. We did it more than $5 though. I'm trying to remember now. We were getting 95% occupancy for like 3 months straight, and I wasn't messing with the baseline. And so I decided to raise it I think I raised it like $20 just to see. And, and you can always drop it back down if it's not looking so good. But I've still been getting some pretty good reservations, so I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
Yeah.
And one thing I came across today was, and I had put it out there on the forums. I asked Myka too, but he's a busy dude. But I said, for example, I woke up this morning to a booking for Thanksgiving, a one-day booking on Thanksgiving, and for a Cowboys game. The Cowboys play every Thanksgiving. I was like, oh, shit. I didn't. Luckily, I haven't gone that far in setting it up yet. I wanted to make the holidays like Myka does. You have to rent the whole week if you want that holiday. And so, I hadn't got to that point yet. And I was like, crap. But luckily, there was someone with no reviews, and just they started their Airbnb probably yesterday. And so I didn't have to accept them, and
you could reject it.
Instant book. So I rejected them, and I went over there. I tinkered around and I figured out how to put like a 4-day minimum on Thanksgiving, a 4-day minimum on Christmas, and
Nice.
And like a couple hours later, I got a 5-day booking for Thanksgiving. I was like, oh damn.
There you go.
I dodged the bullet
awesome.
there. So do you do that also? You put like 3-day, 4-day minimums on holidays?
Yeah, I have that too. I also don't have. Do you have Christmas available already? I only do a 3-month extended period out. I only do 3 months rolling.
Okay, yeah, I have it available. I mean, you find it better just to do 3 at a time?
Well, it's different for me because I never know if it's going to be my last month.
Oh, that's
You know
true.
what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
Not that it would be, but things can change, and I don't want to be too far out. And if your prices are right, people will book, so you don't have to worry about like making sure you're all booked up. 5 months from now, like it's not a big deal if your prices are right. That's really what it's all about. Is pricing.
Some good tips right there. Good tips.
Yes, sir.
What about you, Myka? How far out do you book?
It depends on the unit. Actually, it's funny y'all ask. I'm out here changing up my one of my Little Rock places now. So if it's like a whole house, I'll just do all future dates, and then I let Pricelabs run its magic.
Nice.
Where if it's 20 nights out, far out, you have to stay a minimum of 4 nights, and I have a minimum pricing. So if like during the week, if it's 20 days out, it's a minimum of $75, and then the weekends are like a minimum of like 105, 110ish. That rate.
Nice.
Play with it all the time.
Yeah. Cool. How many do you have?
How many what?
How many Airbnb units do you have, or short-term rental units?
I'm up to about active, probably like 60 plus, but like
Nice.
like 400 plus.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, they're mainly timeshares, and I have a few arbitrages, and then I have a whole house. And then I have a few one corporate rental right now, and then I'm thinking about getting another arbitrage.
Yeah. Sweet. You making good money then?
Yeah, but I need to increase it because most of my stuff's coming from like timeshare, so I gotta work on getting my other stuff up and going.
Right. Cool, man. Congrats.
Yeah, I gotta keep growing though.
How much more money you need, Myka?
A whole lot more, so I gotta keep clocking in.
How much are you making, Myka?
What?
How much are you making?
How much was I making?
How much are you making?
Are you? Right now, with most of my listings being shut down because I'm threw all my money into software, I'm making probably $11,000 a month.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try to get it back up to where I was last summer, where I was making like $48,000-$50,000 a month.
Nice.
Yeah, but
that's awesome.
See, Myka's done it from all different angles. He even rented rooms out of his own house.
Yeah.
So he's done every single way you can do it.
There. If you can do that, like saves everything.
Right.
You can house hack it. House hacking's the best you can do.
Yeah. I just talked to somebody who's doing that. He's got a place in Telluride, Colorado.
What part?
It's called Telluride.
Telluride. Okay.
It's where all the like celebrities buy like their $1 million mansion estates outside of California.
He went the high end route, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a celebrity, but he's in the snowboard industry. He's from Australia. I was just talking to him today, actually, and he got in right at the right time. I think he bought his house like 5 years or 5 years ago. Yeah, I think it is 5 years ago. And he bought his house on foreclosure, and it was just a 1-bed, 1-bath house. And he took like an entire year off of work and built, added on and turned it into a 3-2. And so now he said he rented out one of the rooms. He had a bad breakup with his girl, and so he just lives there alone now. So he's like, I'm just going to rent the rooms out now. And so he rented one of them out, and then he just rented his second one out, he said. With those 2 people renting rooms in his house and sharing the second bathroom, he still has his own spot. He still has a 1-bed, 1-bath place. And then he's going to actually not only make his mortgage payments, but also cash flow a couple $100 a month, which is huge in Telluride. I mean,
yeah,
the average home price in Telluride is $1.7 million. Average. That's the average price. Isn't that crazy?
Dang, it's like Frisco now. Well, Frisco's $500,000 average, but yeah, that's crazy. Dang, he's making. Yeah, if he makes money like that, man. Because I remember when I was renting out my rooms, I'm thinking about throwing some more back on there. Yeah, I was making killing. Then you ain't got to pay your mortgage. That's like the biggest thing. If you can live for free.
And the kicker is those are long-term renters. So I'm thinking, I talked to him today about it, just kind of put the bug in his ear. I'm thinking like, I told him, I'm like, dude, if you turn that into an Airbnb, like if you Airbnb those 2 rooms, like, yeah, it's going to require a little bit more of your time, but I think it could be worth it. You could probably double what you're getting.
Easy. I did a hybrid model. I was doing corporate rental and Airbnb with it. If you do a hybrid model, man, it kills it.
Nice.
Hang some cool snowboards on the wall. It'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he works for like one of the prominent snowboard companies. So
Sweet.
He's like a manager for them and like a sales rep or something. I don't even know.
It's funny you said that about putting the snowboards on the walls, because I think that's where Airbnb really, like, where people who have like 1 or 2 or 3 make a whole lot of money. I think it's they do those like unique spaces, like the tree houses, the airboard, the snowboard, something. You do something unique and different, you can make a whole lot of money, man.
Oh yeah, yep.
I'm following on Instagram the hashtag Airbnb thing, and man, there's some beautiful houses. The way they set them up, and a lot of it is like, man, I could do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like it's so different. It's not just the regular HGTV crap, you know, which looks good, but it's I mean they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I said, snowboards on the wall kind of thing, surfboards on the wall, or a bicycle hanging from somewhere. I don't know, just like different stuff that's just unique, and it just grabs people because we're all still kids at heart. You know what I'm saying? So when we go somewhere on vacation, and wow, this is fucking cool. But let's get to the elephant in the room, man. Yeah, we had alluded to the marijuana earlier, and so how does that work? I mean, you of course, I mean you're renting near Denver. You have to let the guests do their thing, right?
Yeah. Yes and no. So at my old units, I didn't have a problem with it. I mostly just deferred to the owner what their preference is, if they have a preference, because it's their place. You know, I don't own the property. And so the old place was fine, and we had a few issues here and there. There's some cleanup involved sometimes. People aren't respectful, or they'll leave wax on the table, like just like stuff that's just not cool, or they'll smoke in the house, even though we say please don't smoke in the house, you know. But this new place, the owner, he's very conservative and he's really strict. He doesn't want any type of smoke. So we just have it in our house rules, like no smoking of any kind. People still do it every once in a while. You know, I hear different things, and sometimes guests will rat each other out. You know, upstairs will tell on the downstairs and vice versa. And sometimes the cleaner will go in there and be like, yeah, it smells like smoke a little bit when I came in here. Little things like that, but nothing major, luckily.
Have you ever dealt with like a place where you would tell them, hey, this is 420 friendly, whatever, and are you able to charge like a premium on that?
I don't believe you can do a premium on 420 friendly. I mean, maybe some people try, but I think a lot of places they'll have 420 friendly. Although now that I think about it, I had somebody reach out to me not too long ago, and they were like, "Hey, we're having trouble finding a place that will let us smoke." And I was like, "Really?" Because they were trying to get me to bend my rules, and I was like, "No, sorry, like it's not even up to me." So maybe not so much. I mean, I don't travel in my own city. I don't stay at Airbnb, so maybe that's something I need to look into just so I have that knowledge, so I know. But as far as I knew, there were several places that'll they say MMJ friendly or 420 friendly. But maybe not so much lately. I don't know.
Yeah, because I consulted a person out in Portland to start their Airbnb, and I was like, see if you could do that. You know what I'm saying? See if you could. Which she ended up getting shut down because they said it was illegal, whatever what she was doing. But I was trying to test the market on that. Like, hey, if you could make it, 420 friendly, maybe get a little extra paper.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a major reason why the edibles business over there is exploding, because a lot of spots in Denver don't let you smoke. Major hotels and stuff like that.
Think about that.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So, and one of y'all spots, that'd be no problem just to bring some brownies in and just hang out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't think the owner cares about that either. He just doesn't want smoke. No smoke.
Yeah, smoking sucks anyways. So it's good.
It does. Yeah, it's gross. It really is.
Just eat a little bit of a brownie, you'll be all right for hours, maybe a couple of days. Yeah, we've interviewed what's his name out of Denver? What's his name? We interviewed earlier.
James Carlson.
You familiar with
the
him?
Bigger Pockets guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tyler Work. We've interviewed a few people out of Denver.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, James Carlson.
I haven't met them.
James Carlson's he's next level. He's a real estate agent too, so and his big selling point, he puts people in houses with like these finished basements, and he tells them, look, you can afford this house and you can rent the bottom out, pay for the whole thing, because it's your primary residence, right? And you're allowed to do it there. And so he was showing us, because he has a couple spots of his own, and he said, man, him and his wife, they never have to buy anything again, because the guests leave so much stuff behind.
Oh yeah, that happens to me a lot too.
Oh, nice.
You just get stuff up and running, and then a lot of the times, they'll buy their own, or bring their own body wash, or buy their own shampoo or whatever, and then they just leave it. So you got like a rolling. I don't have to buy creamer for my coffee anymore because there's always a bottle of creamer in the fridge.
Man, so
because people buy the big creamer bottle because that's all you can buy, and then they use it twice, and then they just leave it.
Just make sure it ain't
on a flight.
Marijuana infused creamer on accident.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it was, I wouldn't care. It's not smoked creamer. It's not the creamer's not smoking out of the bottle, so who cares?
$1 million idea right there.
Man, liquid marijuana. Hey, so my question to you, because you said you do real estate. What other real estate ventures are you into?
So currently I'm still doing fix and flip.
Okay.
And then I have those long-term rentals, and then I've been slowly getting into some multifamily stuff. But I do things a little different. I'm like very averted to using bank products, and not all bank products. I'm averted to using mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like using mortgages because you pay way too much in interest. And it's front loaded, it's amortized interest. And so, again, just back on my leverage game, I've done about 10 deals in the last couple of years, and I've never used my own money.
So do you do a hard money loan and then refi out, or what are you doing?
So I do a private money loan, not hard money, private money, which is way better because you can negotiate the terms. So I don't meet a lot of private investors. I create them.
Go into how you do that. I like that.
Well, one really simple explanation is, did you know that you can use a retirement account to invest in real estate?
Yeah. IRA,
it's like
turn
a
into
401k or an IRA.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't know, or if they do know, they don't understand how it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's involved. The way that you do it is a self-directed retirement account. A lot of people know that word now, but they don't really understand what it is. And so lately I've been coming across a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, my account's self-directed. I'm like, great. So can you use it to buy a house? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, what do you mean? Then how is it self-directed? And so what's happening is these money managers, Fidelity and Merrill Lynch and Charles Schwab, like all these companies that are financial advisors, they've caught on to this wave of self-direction, of true self-direction. And so now they've created these accounts that they call your self-directed retirement account, but it's still being managed by them, which isn't a self-directed retirement account.
Correct.
So a true self-directed retirement plan is quote unquote managed. It's held by a TPC bank, a third-party custodian bank. And so what those companies do is that's all they do is they create an account for you. They help you roll over your monies from, let's say, Fidelity. They roll it over penalty-free and tax-free into your self-directed account, and then it just sits there, and you pay like an annual couple $100 fee, depends on the balance, to let it sit there. And they don't take commissions. There's nothing like that goes on. But the caveat is you then have to use it to direct it where you want it to go, into what investments you want it to go into. And so once it's in that environment, then you can use it for real estate. You can use it for anything. There's only 3 things that are not allowed by law when it's in a self-directed retirement plan. And that is buying shares of an S corporation, investing in or funding life insurance, and buying collectibles. And that's the most recent rule that they added was buying collectibles, because people were buying like collections of wine and then drinking the wine. Because you're not allowed to personally benefit from a retirement account without paying a penalty.
Oh, I see.
So if you invest in a collection of wine, but then you drink the wine, you're personally benefiting and devaluing the collection you just bought.
So you bought some Mad Dog 2020 and then you drank.
Exactly.
It's funny you said that, because I've heard that's rich people actually, they invest in art, and they mentioned wine. They actually invest in wine. I was like, that's some rich people crap right there. But they found a way to kind of,
got rid of that.
Yeah,
that's not allowed.
Yeah, LeBron James invests in wine.
He does.
So that's one of the main ways that I raise private capital is, I meet people all the time. There's $27 trillion in retirement accounts in this country. If you break that down into 300 million people that live here, 320, whatever, roughly every man, woman, and child would have 250 grand in a retirement account.
You pretty much go baby boomer hunting, huh?
I mean, you'd be surprised who I meet, because there's tons of people that aren't even close to that age. I mean, I have a guy that's 26 years old. That's one of my private lenders. He's got like 100K. His dad passed away and left him some money.
Oh, yeah.
You just never know. And so I just treat everybody equally. And I talk to people all the time. Every time I meet somebody, I end up on this tip. And then I talk to them and I ask them just a couple quick questions. And one of them is that first one I asked you, did you know you can invest in real estate with a retirement account? And they usually say no. And then I'm like, yeah, well, then I kind of tell them what I just said. And then I say, what's been your average rate of return in your retirement account, like over the last couple of years? And the most common answer is, I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
So the average across the country is like 3 or 4%, maybe 5%, depending on who you ask, in the market, which is crap. I mean, what's inflation?
Exactly.
Yeah,
three or 4 or 5%, depending on who you ask. So if your money's barely keeping up with inflation, or not even, are you really making any money?
Nope.
I mean, how are you expecting to retire off of a system like that in 30 years if it's just barely keeping up with retirement? I mean, retirement goes up and then your account, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like your money is worth less every year, but it's only gaining in interest the amount that it's being worth less. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And now that's, it's proof. What's happening lately is all these baby boomers that are not able to retire. I mean, there's 2/3 of the baby boomers right now don't have the money to retire.
That's true.
It sucks.
So walk us through a deal. Let's say, tell us, like, I don't know, give us an example. You find a property for whatever price, and then you go find 2 or 3 people to. How does it work? Walk us through like make up a deal.
Okay. Let's say I'll keep it simple, so I won't do it with multiple people. I've done it. I've had up to 5. I think I've had 5 lenders on one deal before, but then I've also done it with just one. Obviously, it's better and easier and simpler if you can get all the money from one person. So let's say you buy a house for $100,000, or you find something that's $100,000. You negotiate the price down to $100,000. Let's say it's worth like I don't know. Let's say the fair market value is like 140, 150. Right, it's always getting a discount. It's important. You don't buy stuff at retail value if you're going to invest. That's just good sense. So if you don't know how to do that, you got to learn how to do that. You got to learn how to identify properties that are under market value, at a discount. And then, so let's say we're buying it for 100. It's worth 150, so we're getting a pretty good discount on it. And then it needs, I don't know, let's say it needs $50,000 to fix up. And when it's fixed up, it'll be worth 200. Are those typical? I mean, am I exaggerating too much?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
So we're buying it for 100. We're putting 50 into it, and it's worth 200. We'll sell it for 200. Now there's some hard costs that go along with that, like realtor fees and holding costs, closing costs, like all that stuff. But let's just say this guy I'm borrowing the money from, I need 150 total, right? I need 100 to purchase and 50 to fix, right? 50 for rehab. He's got it in his retirement account that I just helped him roll over into a self-directed account. So I say, look, Myka, you've got this $150,000 in your retirement account. I will give you 12% return on your money. What were you getting before? You don't know? That means it wasn't good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we looked into it, and it was getting 3%, which is pretty typical. Okay, so you're getting 3%. I'll give you 12%. I'll give you more than triple what you're getting right now. You're like, okay, well, give me the details. How's my money secure? Like, what's the risk involved? Well, there's always risk, right? So I don't want you to think there's not. However, if you're working with an educated investor, the risk is very minimal. It can be. One of the reasons is because I got the property at discount. So we're going to use your money, $100,000, to buy this house. I don't actually ever see that money. So the money gets transferred from your retirement account to the title company. The title company puts it in escrow and closes on the house, right? I'm taking title in my LLC. My business is buying this property. So I own the property. You own the debt. Your retirement account, rather, owns the debt. You're like the bank. You have the mortgage. It's not a mortgage, but you have the mortgage.
Well,
So
Mr. Potter, I just invested in VT Sachs, and they said I'll be retired in 15 years. How many flips have you done?
Enough. This is my portfolio. You know what's funny? I've never had. No, I might have had one person ask me that.
Really?
Because when I talk to people and they see how much I understand and how much I know about this process, that's never a question that comes up.
You know what?
It's clear to them that I know what I'm talking about.
I 100% agree with you, because when I talk about Airbnb to people, like if I'm talking to them into doing it or partnering on a deal or anything, they usually are like, cool, how do I start? I'm like, oh, okay. But like you said, if you have confidence and you know what you're talking about, people will throw you some money. Yep.
You just have to understand it. It's just repetition.
All
I
right.
had to go through the process and learn the process, over a certain amount of time before I understood it. And when I understood it, it's really easy to talk about because I understand the ins and outs.
Okay. So back to the deal. He's like, all right, man, I trust you. I'm gonna give you the money, and then you go ahead and what happens next?
So hold on. So he funnels the money to title, and in return, this isn't just like, hey, give me this money and I might pay you back. In return, this is secured by 2 security instruments. The first security instrument is called a deed of trust, and the second security instrument is called a promissory note. So the promissory note secures the borrower, or secures the money from the borrower to the lender. So it says, my LLC, one of my LLCs is called Absolute Investments. Absolute Investments is borrowing this money to buy this property from Myka's retirement account, and is going to pay 12% interest over a 6-month term, whatever, right? Whatever we negotiate, whatever the time period is. Lump sum too. That's the best part. It's all what you're willing to negotiate. It's all what the other person's willing to do. And so I don't ever want to make monthly payments like a hard money lender would charge, because that's just more money I gotta borrow. I gotta over borrow to make my monthly payments while I'm having this deal get worked out. So I don't like that. I just say, look, this is where it's going. It's going here. So it'll pay back when we sell the house for 6 months. It's really just when we sell the house. It'll get paid back in a lump sum. So the principal plus the interest will all get paid back all in one chunk. Back to your retirement account, right? It doesn't go to you if you're lending out of your retirement account. If you're lending out of your own money, obviously it would just go back to you. But then you have to consider that income.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So if it goes directly back into their retirement account plus 12%, profit, they don't get taxed on that.
Nope. So this is what's really cool. An IRA in this country can be in there are two different ways you can structure an IRA. There's a traditional IRA and there's a Roth IRA. You might be familiar with this. A traditional IRA, you don't pay taxes for any contributions, right? There's a limit on contributions as well. I think, what is it, $5,500 or something a year. I always get 401k and IRAs mixed up, but one of them is $5,500 and one of them is like $7,000 now. It's not a lot of money, but that's how much you're allowed to contribute every year to it. And that's all tax-free. However, when you initiate distributions, meaning when you start pulling money out of the account, when you reach 59 and a half or whatever the retirement age is now, you do pay taxes. You pay income tax on that money, right?
Yep.
The reverse for a Roth account. A Roth account, you pay money on, or you pay taxes on any contributions you make. And when you go for distribution, when you start pulling money out or taking money out at retirement age, there's no tax on that. So when people are sort of asking me, like, when they're going to roll over their account and they have monies in different areas and whatever, I'm just like, well, what do you have? Sometimes people already have traditional accounts. And then I'm like, okay, how much is in there? And we kind of discuss it. And they're like wondering, what should I do? Should I keep it in traditional or should I do Roth? And the best analogy that I've heard is, do you want to pay taxes on the seed, or do you want to pay taxes on the harvest? Right? Because if you're interested in growing your retirement account and it's going to be bigger down the road, if you're in a traditional setup, you're going to pay more taxes because there's going to be more in the account at the end. Right? You didn't pay taxes going in, but you're going to pay taxes coming out. So most people are like, okay, that makes sense. And so a lot of people will end up converting their accounts to Roth. I'm not a financial advisor, so there's nothing that I can specifically recommend. I just give them the information. I'm like, it's up to you. Like, I'm not a financial advisor. But anyway, and then the other thing is growth, right? So we're talking about growth, like this would be growth. Like if you lent money out of a retirement account and it made $20,000 in interest, that's not a contribution, so it doesn't hurt the limit. It's called growth. And growth is 100% tax-free, and there's no limit on growth.
That's beautiful.
Are you familiar with Mitt Romney?
Yeah,
sir.
So Mitt Romney, when he ran for president a few years back, I guess it's been a decade now, I don't remember exactly. When he ran for president, he released his tax returns, and he had $10 million in retirement accounts. Do you think that he got $10 million by contributing $5,500 a year? So there's two games being played in this country, and one of them's the wealthy way and one of them's the other way. And the problem is everyone else that's not a 1%er they don't know the rules. They don't understand the rules, so they're not playing by those rules. Same board, but somebody's playing checkers and somebody's playing chess.
Yes, sir.
OJ used some real estate stuff to keep a lot of his money, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Retirement accounts are unsuable. You cannot sue retirement accounts.
He went out in Miami or to Florida and bought him a big ass mansion from his retirement funds, and there's no way they could touch it because that's considered part of his retirement.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
That's
so there's some rules and regulations and things to understand about revolving around retirement accounts. But yeah, once you know the rules, like, man, it's so awesome. And there's actually a better system than that, which might have to be another conversation, but it has to do with overfunding a life insurance policy.
Oh,
So
nice.
That's the new wave. You don't even need retirement accounts anymore if you do that.
So with self-directed IRA, it's a cap on how much money you can put in there that you can personally put in there, right?
That you can personally contribute, but if you're using the money to invest and that the investments produce returns, there's no cap on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're just putting cash into it, then there is a cap, and it's pretty small. But if you're savvy and you're leveraging that money to make more money, that's not a contribution. That's called growth.
Gotcha.
And there's no tax and no limit on growth.
Man, Martin, we're all going to have a conversation after the cast, make some money.
Right?
A part 2 for sure. So could you do this with buy and hold properties? Could you put some buy and holds? So what happens to the cash flow? Do you have to leave it in your retirement account, or can you? I don't know.
So this is what's really cool. Imagine this. So now that we've had that conversation, that's a short-term example, right? I sell the house for $200. I pay you back. Let's say it accrued $10,000 in interest over a 4-month period, however long it took to fix and sell. And then so you make your 150 back plus another 10, and you didn't have to do anything. That's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
Then what do you think you're going to do after that? You probably lend it out again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so whatever was left after broker fees and holding costs and closing costs, all that stuff, there's probably 20 or 30 grand left. That goes to me. Just because I engineered the whole transaction.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool too. That's no money out of my pocket, and I just made 20 or 30 grand.
Oh yeah.
So with your 20 or 30, you have to reinvest, right?
No.
You paying capital gains on that?
No, you don't pay capital gains on a $20,000 profit.
Really?
Again, it depends on how you're structured. Hold on a sec. I got to plug my phone in. It's losing battery. Hold on.
There you go.
I'll just have to hold it. So this is another part that's important to be set up correctly. There's 4 pillars of wealth, and it's important to have all of them in check. Real estate is just one of the pillars. The other 3 are taxes, which is huge, which is kind of the answer to what you're asking. Correct. Making sure you're set up tax-wise and you're taking advantage of everything you can. And then the other 2 are business and banking. Understanding banking is huge too. I mean, everybody knows what a business is and how to create it, or that having a income producing business is key. But if you don't have the other things in check, using real estate to build your wealth, using taxes to maintain and save your wealth, and using what is the other thing I said? Business, taxes, real estate, and banking. Mm-hmm. If you're not using the proper banking elements, that can be hurtful too. That's why I don't use mortgages. So that's a whole nother conversation that we could talk about. There's a strategy called velocity banking, where you're basically replacing all of your amortized interest loans with simple interest line of credit, and you're eliminating hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest and paying off your stuff faster.
Nice.
So you don't use
that. Again, that would be a whole nother conversation, but
what's that called again?
It's called velocity banking.
Velocity banking?
Velocity banking, yeah. It's just a strategy. It's a debt acceleration strategy.
So you said velocity banking. You don't use. So when you say you don't use a mortgage, you use private money only, right?
Yeah. So I'll quickly walk you through how I got my rental. I used private money to buy the rental. Yep. So I used private money to buy it. I made sure that the numbers were good, right? You can't just buy any old rental. The numbers have to be really good. So my numbers need to be, if I'm going to do this type of structure, my numbers need to be 1.2% gross rent yield. So the monthly gross has to be at least 1.2% or better of the overall purchase. So if I'm buying something for 100 grand, it needs to rent for 1,200 or better in order for my strategy to probably work.
Okay.
Right. And so that's like, some people hear that and they're like, what? Those don't exist. They do exist all over the country. If you're just trying to invest in a huge city like Denver, you'll buy something for 400 grand that rents for 1,800 a month. That doesn't work. And you could barely make a mortgage leveraged situation work well with those numbers. Correct. But if you know where to look, you can find deals like I'm talking about all day. Mostly in the Midwest.
Yes, sir.
And in the South a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. What I really wanted to know is because I'm a buy and hold guy, and I'd like to know how to put these into your IRA and what happens to the cash flow.
Okay. Sorry, I keep going off on tangents because there's so much to explain.
No, it's a lot of info. Thank you. We appreciate it.
So let me go back to what we were talking about with the retirement account so I can answer your question. So imagine you had $500,000 in your retirement. No, imagine you had $100,000 in your retirement. Let's just say you bought one property with it. Let's say you bought a property that rents for $1,000 a month. Let's say it nets actually $1,000 a month after all expenses. Is that not realistic? Okay, let's say $800 a month. Let's say it makes $800 a month after all bills paid. So $800 a month is your return, right? That's your income from the money. Now, if your retirement account put the money up and you're holding this thing, your retirement account owns it. So that $800 a month goes back into your retirement account as cash flow, as growth. That's tax-free growth. Now, let's say you're happy with that. You're happy with the 800. It doesn't have any more. It's not making enough, because you have the 100 grand sunk into it. Let's say you reach retirement age, or let's say you want to retire today. There's a form you can fill out called the 72T early distribution. A lot of people don't know this either. If you fill this form out, you can start retirement. You can initiate distributions, and there's no penalty on it. You don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half. So that's kind of cool. So let's say you did that. Let's say you did that and you were like, cool, I'm fine with this $800 a month. This is what I want to live off of. I know that's not realistic, but just for example terms. All right, cool. So today we file the 72T because we're not 59 and a half. Early distribution. We want $800 a month. The rental property that your account owns is profiting $800 a month. So $800 will go into the retirement account, and then your distribution amount will come out and go to you, tax-free if it's a Roth account. So you're living off of $800. You're creating $800 a month in income, tax-free income every month for yourself, for as long as the retirement account owns that property. Now, the only caveat to that situation is, as soon as you initiate distributions in the retirement account, it is not allowed to bring on any more investments. It's not allowed to do any more investing. So you couldn't sell that property and buy another one with it. If you had more in it, you couldn't buy another property. You couldn't contribute to it anymore. There's no more contributions allowed. It kind of just, it turns into from taking money to now giving money only. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what if you're right now trying to accumulate buy and holds? So that was my main question. So I guess until you're ready to start making withdrawals, all the cash flow has to go back into the IRA?
Correct. Without being penalized, yes. If you personally benefit from the cash flow and you haven't initiated distributions, you haven't decided I'm retiring from this account and I want the money from it. If you personally benefit and let's say you take $800 cash and then the IRS finds out about it, they will immediately penalize your account, right? So whatever value it's at will be penalized, and then they'll initiate distribution for you. I understand.
So you tell your renters to just pay, $1,000 a month and give you the rest in cash. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
I mean, I suppose you could try that.
I'm just kidding. Everybody don't do that.
Yeah.
I guess that's my main thing. Cause right now starting off, I got 4 houses right now, and I like the cash flow. And so if I can't touch it, I have to keep it in that retirement fund. That's kind of, it kind of sucks.
I mean, that's why they call it a retirement account, because you're building for the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're cool with what you're making now, but you want to keep bringing on properties, then maybe this strategy could work. Because if you're okay with not receiving the income right away and sort of building it up in a retirement account, you could do it that way. I mean, imagine if you had enough properties in your retirement account making you 10 grand a month, and it was a Roth account, and you initiated distributions and you were making 10 grand a month tax free for the rest of your life, or as long as the properties are producing cash flow. I mean, that's huge, man. Like technically you wouldn't even need any value in the account. Like imagine you spent all the money in the account to buy these properties, and 10 grand comes in, 10 grand and $1 comes in, and then you pull 10 grand out, and there's only $1 in the account every month, but it's cash flowing every month. So it's just going from the rentals into the account and then to you, all tax free.
That sounds awesome. That's awesome.
That's a life hack, baby.
Yeah, we learned something from that. Yeah, I'm Googling that Rule 72T now. I'm like,
yeah, man, check it out.
On that.
Well, we've been going at this for a long time now, and I do want to do an episode 2, man, because I mean we're just this is the tip of the iceberg right here.
Oh yeah.
But we appreciate you coming on, Martin Potts. I'm sorry, Potter.
Martin Potts. There's
Potts.
a famous surfer from Hawaii named Martin Potter, and they called him Potts.
Oh, there you go, Potsy.
I'm not him. He's like 50 years old.
Well, man, you've been enlightening us today, and this has been one of my favorite episodes. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm about to be all up in your DMs asking real estate advice now.
Same, man.
Okay, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? Let's see. My Facebook is just my name, Martin Potter. And then if you're watching this, find the one that has my face, I guess. I'm not wearing glasses in the picture. And then my Instagram is, let's see, it's _traveling Jew. The traveling Jew.
Let me find
is it the traveling Jew or the traveling?
I was trying to be fancy. It's not
the traveling Jew.
The traveling Jew.
Oh yeah, I'm following you now. There we go. The traveling.
No one.
Oh yeah, I got.
Oh, you know Chance the Rapper, huh?
Yeah, that's my My DP is me and Chance.
Yeah, I like that.
Chance.
So no wonder you know so much about banking, by the way.
Shout out to Chance. It's a big day in stores now.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with us, man. And you've blown our minds today. This has been a really great episode. And we look forward to episode 2 with you, man, in the near future.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. We'll talk about velocity banking and paid up life insurance next time.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. Take care.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.
And that was Martin Potter, the great Martin Potter. And did you get anything from this episode, Myka?
Man, a lot of real estate stuff. I need to step my real estate game up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that 72T is real. That's real legit. I just looked it up. Yeah, I just got to look at the implications of it. But yeah, it's something I would consider doing. People should definitely look into the 72T rule if you're trying to get your money out your 401k tax 72T.
Where can people find us, Myka?
Yeah, you find us at liveletthrive.com. Follow our IG. We always got the surprises popping off on the IG. You can follow us at our Facebook pages. If you're watching on YouTube, all the links are below. Promotions. If you want money off your first Airbnb trip, all that stuff, just click the link below. But yeah, thank y'all for listening.
All right, this is Live Let Thrive. Peace out.
Episode 94?
95.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.